Welcome, Mouseketeers. This is Mouse Magic. I'm Lewis McLaughlin. Today we're going to be talking about Avengers Infinity War. This will be my spoiler review. If you want to know a little bit about the movie without any spoilers, I have a spoiler-free review that I did like an hour after getting out of the movie. So I said I was going to do a follow-up video with spoilers. Said I was going to do it in a couple days, but I got sidetracked on some personal family business. So sorry it took so long, but the good thing about that is if you really wanted to know what happened before it got spoiled, you probably already saw the film. And if not, you're probably avoiding spoiler videos anyway. So instead of just going through the whole film, I'm just going to tell you about some of the highlights, the things I really liked in the film, but it will give away different plot points. And one of the things I really liked about this film is it gets out of the station fast. There's no build up or anticipation. They're assuming that you know what's going on and how relevant these are. And within 5 minutes, there's significant deaths, including Loki, and the Hulk gets spanked. I mean, he just gets beat up. It's not even a problem. Thanos just handily defeats the Hulk in a short fight. Really, it was what it was. And I think it's the first time Hulk ever got beaten. And I like what they did with his character, but that's how the film starts. That's the first 5 minutes, and then boom, they go into the opening credits. It just starts out that way. So, and it goes on for like 2.5 hours of action. And the thing I really liked about how they handled this is the Russo brothers' direction. They're assuming that you've seen all the other Marvel films. Not that you absolutely had to see them for this film to make sense and know what's happening and what's going on. They catch you up when you need to be caught up, but it has more resonance if you know what's going on. Like, so for instance, Loki getting killed. If you never saw the films, you don't realize what a big deal that is. If you saw the films, that's a big deal. You're kind of like, hey man, he's been around since the beginning. He really has been. He was in the first Thor film. So they end up going around probably about 3 different plot points. And if you've ever seen something like Deep Space Nine or Lost or 24, there's usually several different plot points going on, and you have to shift gears and really pick out your right moments of when it's okay to shift to the other storyline without losing the momentum throughout the film from one line to the next. So there's like 3 different plot points going on, and I think they juggled them very nicely. When you're really coming up to that culmination, you really have to be able to know and tell the story well without, forgetting what's going over here in the right side of the film. So that I think they've gotten really good. I've always enjoyed Winter Soldier and Civil War. So the Russo brothers have just gotten better and better at storytelling and character development. And no better part does the character development come out than Thanos. This is really his film. You learn his motivations. You understand him, even though you don't agree with him. You know why he's doing what he's doing. And it's something the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been doing really well lately. Ever since Spider-Man Homecoming with the Michael Keaton character playing Vulture, you understood why he was doing. It wasn't good. He was a bad guy, but you understood his point of view. And they brought that up with Killmonger in Black Panther and now in Avengers Infinity War. So it really built it up. And then having Josh Brolin, the acting in this movie, everybody really brought their A game. They really did a good job with the acting, and all the characters, all the actors really came. Some of the scenes, I think in my first story, I said there's a lot of weight in this film, and there really is. The whole universe is at stake. Thanos' goal is to get all the stones that we learned about from Guardians of the Galaxy, and then he'll be able to control the universe and do whatever he wants. And his whole thing is he has to parse down, his idea is he has to parse down the universe by half. So every civilization loses half of its population. Every single one. No discrimination. Just all across each planet, all over the whole universe. That's his whole point. And he's going to do it he could be able to do it with the snap of his fingers. And they keep on laying that groundwork for the snap of his fingers. So we're moving along, we're following it, and he's collecting stones from different places. Speaking of acting, Benedict Cumberbatch and Robert Downey Jr. do a great job with Tony Stark and Stephen Strange. They are good as actors. They elevated each other, and that's what this needed, because Stephen Strange is powerful, and he's up there. You know, he's also very intelligent. He's wise. He's got a lot going for him, but he hasn't been there from the beginning. He's not one of the original Avengers, but now he's going toe-to-toe with Tony Stark, and they're equals, and they have to treat each other so. And Tony recognizes, hey, this guy has something to bring to the table. Other than that, he just happens to be holding an Infinity Stone. So being able to really, I think, be a character that the viewers would really appreciate and understand, that even though he's only been in one film, and you saw a little bit in Thor Ragnarok, that Thor gives Doctor Strange some respect there. He understands how he seems to be able to ascertain that this character really knows what he's doing, and you really need that character to be able to go toe to toe with the original Avengers, and he does that. The other great acting in this is Zoe Saldana. When we get to the Guardians, they end up splitting up, and Groot and Rocket go with Thor to create a weapon that will kill Thanos. And they do a really good job with Peter Quill and Drax and Manta and Zoe's character, Gamora. And that was really important in this. It really needed to happen. So what ends up happening is they're going to go and try and get the reality gem from the Collector. And they go there, and Thanos is there, and they come up with a plan to kill Thanos, which is relevant. But more importantly, they lay this groundwork that Zoe's character, Gamora, knows where the Soul Stone is. And that's really important. It's not widely known where it is. It's a big secret. And she makes Peter Quill, she makes Star-Lord promise that if he gets me, you've got to kill me, because he can't get all 5 stones. So they get there, and Gamora does it. Gamora kills Thanos. And it was a really great scene because she's conflicted over it. She recognizes Thanos is evil and his plan can't be allowed to be gone through, and the only way to stop Thanos is to kill him. But she's conflicted over it because he's her father figure, and whether he's a good father or not, that's what it was. And that had to be brought out in the acting, and it does. It does. You really see that she's hurting over having to do this. But Thanos already had the Reality Stone and is not really dead. And Thanos gets Gamora. And Peter has to make the decision to kill her. And I think, in all honesty, this is where it just didn't add up. It didn't quite get there. It's the only scene that I thought was a little weak. There was tension there. You saw the struggle, but not so much. And of course, because Thanos has the Reality Stone, he's able to warp the reality, and he gets away with Gamora. And that actually does lead to some heavy scenes with Nebula and her struggle with having to get there. And then here comes another surprise. Gamora takes Thanos to the planet where the Soul Stone is, and it's being guarded by Red Skull. And I audibly went like, "Oh my gosh!" It's something I didn't expect. I'd heard a lot of speculation, but nobody really knew. And there he was. It was crazy. I was just like, "Oh my gosh, he's back!" And the thing that made this go well, or this scene end up going well, is to get the Soul Stone, Thanos has to sacrifice something he loves, and Gamora feels like she's got him. There's nothing Thanos loves, but she's wrong. He really does love Gamora as a daughter, but he's willing to sacrifice her, and that death scene is tough. Josh Brolin and Zoe Saldana carried the weight of that scene. You felt it, it hurt, and you move on. It was filmed well, it was acted well, and you're just going on for the start, like what's going to happen next, because it just kept getting heavier as the film went on. There's a couple more acting performances that I want to talk about, but before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about more characters and what's happened there. After after Hulk gets beaten, Bruce comes back, there's another battle going on right away, and Bruce Banner calls on the Hulk, and the Hulk will not come out. And it doesn't come out the whole film. In fact, one of the things, again, I don't know if this was marketing or the Russo's brothers or just an agreement, the trailers that they've done over the last couple films, where the trailers are misdirecting you on purpose. And there's a scene in the trailer of the Hulk marching down with some of the Avengers in the Wakanda. Now, guess what? That doesn't happen. Hulk doesn't make an appearance the whole film. And I think what they're doing with that character, because they can't do a single Hulk film, and they're kind of splitting his story up. I think Kevin Feige said it's going to be split up over 3 different movies. You had the Thor Ragnarok, where the Hulk was in charge for 2 years. Bruce Banner's lost 2 years of his life, and now he needs the Hulk, and he's trying to call on the Hulk, and the Hulk will come out. And the speculation is he's afraid because Thanos beat him. He's never been beaten before. I really think this is my first speculation for the next Avengers, is I think this is where they're going to have to come up with some peace, not just being able to call on the Hulk when they need him, but actually sharing and going back and forth and relying on each other, that there's going to be a peace between Hulk and Bruce Banner. And that, I think that was interesting. There wasn't a lot of character development, and I was okay with that because this film was so large, not everybody could be explored very full. And so Bucky takes a back seat. Even Captain America takes a back seat. He does not have a lot of screen time. Black Widow, back seat, and Black Panther, they all, don't have a lot of screen time. It's relevant. It's important what they do and how they do it, but there's not much you can do when you've got 2.5 hours, 3 storylines, and 27 characters going on. But I just want to talk about that. I also want to talk about Rocket. I think what they did with his character. He's always fighting with Quill over who's going to be the leader, who's in charge. And at one point, Thor is having his issues, and Chris Hemsworth does a great job, because I actually thought the Loki death scene wasn't as strong as it needed to be. Maybe because it happened so quickly, or maybe I missed something. I'm not really sure. That, maybe on different viewings I'll say, oh, okay, that's where it adds some of the weight. But it just didn't seem, it was just like, oh my gosh, this is happening to me, what do I do? Instead of the scene that he comes up with, that Thor has lost everything, and Rocket's got to give him the pep talk. And at the point, Rocket actually says, time to be the captain. And he understands the leadership role that needs to happen if he really wants to be the leader. Great point, and it does. It gets him up, and I thought Chris Hemsworth did a great job. He's willing to sacrifice, he was willing to sacrifice himself to create a weapon that could kill Thanos, and you believed it. That's the thing. And now we've had a couple deaths. You're like, oh my gosh, not everybody's getting out of this film alive. And you're feeling that now, and you're wondering how this is going to happen and who's going to win and how they're going to beat it. And they move on. We're kind of coming up to the end now, and she's got all the stones except the Mind Stone, which is inside Vision's head, and they're trying to come up with a plan to remove the stone and then destroy it. But they're not able to do it in that time, and Scarlet Witch has to sacrifice Vision to destroy the stone so Thanos doesn't get it. And that scene was good. You believed it. You felt their pain and the anguish in doing that. But again, for the greater good, it had to be done. And unfortunately, Thanos already had the Time Stone. Stephen Strange kind of went in and saw all the futures and said there's only one possible way the Avengers could win this war. And what he ends up doing is Thanos has this great fight scene and kills Tony Stark. And at this point you're like, oh my gosh, who's not going to die in this film? And Stephen Strange makes the sacrifice. He gives him the stone if he'll let Tony Stark live. So you're kind of guessing, oh, there must be something about Tony Stark's survival that's relevant in Thanos' eventual defeat. And this is going to eventually lead into speculation of the next films. But in all honesty, I think sometimes you can enjoy these films better if you allow yourself to forget some of the stuff you know that's going to happen. You know that a couple films, one film makes so much money, of course they're going to make a sequel, or they've already announced a sequel. But they've done a really good job of not talking about contracts and the next couple films, especially for major characters. So you're really not really sure where this is going to go. And so they end up doing that. Thanos gets the time stone, goes to Wakanda. It's a great fight. The action scenes in all the fights are just amazing. But Scarlet Witch has to sacrifice Vision, and she does so, and Thanos reverses the time, kills Vision himself by pulling the stone out of his head. And now he has all 5 stones. And Thor in the last act is going to kill him. Now, we already know there's going to be a part 2, but I think the journey's better. If you can just suspend your belief, suspend your head, and just kind of enjoy the ride on this. Thor lays the death blow to Thanos, and you're thinking, oh great, the good guys won. It was a heavy victory. It cost us a lot, but the good guys won. And Thanos comes out with that ultimate line of, you should have gone for the head, and he snaps his fingers, and his plan is enacted. And you're not sure exactly what that's going to look like, but then all of a sudden, Bucky dissolves into ash right in front of Captain America's face. And you realize that's what's going to happen. All these people are just going to disappear, and it starts happening one by one. All the characters, almost all the Guardians are gone except for Nebula and Rocket, and they're not even on the same planet. And here's one of the things we're going to go a little bit back to the acting now. When Peter Parker realizes this is going to happen to him, he starts getting frightened. And Robert Downey Jr. feels obligated to him and, mentoring him and responsible for him. And now this kid's dying. And that death scene is amazing. Now, because we already know Spider-Man Homecoming 2 is on the boards to be made, there's going to be something that brings him back from the dead. But if you let yourself just enjoy it, just let yourself go for the ride, you're kind of sitting there going like, oh my gosh, Peter Parker, Spider-Man's dead. And it's crazy. So you end up going along, and the one thing that shocked me was T'Challa. He Black Panther just disappears out in a clear blue sky, and you're like, oh my gosh. And you don't know how this film's going to end. Thanos wins. He won the day. The story is about him, and he got what he wanted. And he walks off into the sunset, metaphorically and literally. But you don't know what's going to happen next. But Marvel being Marvel, they give you that little clue. In a great cameo in the end credit scene, you have Nick Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, and Anita Cross, and they realize something terrible is happening. There's car accidents happening, and there's nobody in the cars, and planes are crashing, and then all of a sudden Anita disappears, and he knows there's some cataclysmic event happening, and he pulls out what looks like some type of beeper and makes the call. And then all of a sudden he disappears, and because it's a Disney-related video, they do some really nice homage to Samuel Jackson's script from the past and some of the things he might be famous for saying. And it was just a really fun little drop there. And speaking of dropping, he drops the beeper, and the Captain Marvel symbol comes up, or Captain Marvel symbol comes up, and if you don't know what that is, you're kind of scratching your head. But if you're a comic book fan, you already know they're making the Captain Marvel film. But now I'm excited. I got to see what happens. This is going to be the thing that hopefully brings us back from this catastrophe. You don't know how it's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. But I got to tell you, I'm more excited for this film than I was before Avengers Infinity War. I know there was a lot of speculation that she might be dropped in there. She wasn't. But, now I'm really looking forward to the movie. Speaking of Easter eggs, if you're an Arrested Development fan, there's a great Easter egg in the collector's collection. So that's where they always like to drop little Easter eggs there. So you can keep an eye out for that one. So I do got to say, overall, this film was great strengths, really high highs. The only thing I think was a little bit weaker is what they did with Peter Quill's character. I don't know if it was him or the acting didn't just quite match up. He does something that allows Thanos to get away with, like if he didn't do this bonehead move, they had a chance of winning. Oh, and I told you a little bit about Hulk and what I'm looking forward with Hulk. But I think the thing I'm most looking forward to is Steve Rogers and Tony Stark having to get together and work together and form that team that makes the Avengers Avengers. I've heard a lot of speculation on what they think will happen. Who knows if they all make it out of the next one. But the stakes were high. You felt it. But it's actually one of the things I'm not sure how this will be in rewatching it. I'll go to the theater and see it again. But I think this might suffer a lot from what I think Inside Out suffers from. I enjoy that film. It's a great film. It's very hard to make a film have you appreciate an emotion like sadness. This is not something that we necessarily embrace. But they did a great job doing it. I really enjoy that film, but I don't rewatch it a lot. It's sad. It's heavy. And a lot of times I want to watch a film, especially if it's an action film or an animated film, I'm looking for the levity and kind of just moving forward. I want some themes in there. I want it to be serious, but again, like I said, rewatchability. I think because of the themes in this that are so heavy, it's a must watch, but I don't know if it's a must rewatch. So I don't know, like every time Iron Man 3 is on or Civil War or Winter Soldier, I'm watching that film again because I just enjoy it. So let me know what you thought of the film. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to hit the bell for notifications when I get new videos. And I will see you real soon.